Dealing with anxiety is a common struggle in our hectic world. In my own search for calm, I have often looked in places that seemed promising, but never led to lasting peace. I'm Lauren Windle, a writer and journalist, and I want to know, what is real peace and how do we find it? In this series, we explore the transformative power of Jesus, a figure whose resurrection marks a cornerstone of faith and the promise of new life. Jesus' disciples experience a moment of profound revelation when he appears to them after defeating death, offering a peace that transcends understanding. Within this group, Thomas's skepticism highlights the human wrestle between doubt and belief. The artistic rendition by Caravaggio, The Incredulity of St. Thomas, serves as a vivid exploration of this moment. This sequence of events where Jesus reveals himself and invites personal verification of his wounds not only strengthens the faith of those present, but also extends an invitation to future generations. It emphasizes the tangible reality of the resurrection and the eternal peace it offers.
A week later, his disciples were indoors again, and Thomas was with them. Even though the doors were locked, Jesus came and stood among them and said, "Peace be with you." Then he said to Thomas, "Put your finger here and look at my hands. Reach out your hand and put it into my side. Don't be faithless, but believe." Thomas responded to him, "My Lord and my God." Jesus said, "Because you have seen me, you have believed. Blessed are those who have not seen and yet believe."
In the face of life's uncertainties, we can have peace that shines through, prompting the question, is it just a brief respite, or is it a foundational strength that can weather any storm? I'm meeting with Will van der Hart to explore the disciples' profound encounter with Jesus. This transformative peace reshapes their understanding and offers us a powerful example of how it can serve as an unwavering anchor in our lives.
I'm picturing I live by a stream in a cottage, and that's peace.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people will relate to that. They have an image of a kind of holiday destination or some place of isolation where there's just no noise and they can be at peace. Now that's a very, very different thing to having peace within. Peace within.
I'm in recovery from addiction, and I use drugs and alcohol to numb that stuff, but I wouldn't have had the language to say I was looking for peace, and certainly drugs and alcohol are not the place to get it, but it was a good distraction from what I didn't have.
Yeah, and one of the great challenges is if we don't know where we want to get to, we'll find ways of kind of functioning in that space of going, well, I'm kind of looking for peace, but I don't know how to find it, and therefore I'm going to use things that kind of numb me from that quest in order that I can cope with my daily reality. Distraction is the first thing we tend to go to.
Yeah.
I distract myself with my phone. I distract myself with Netflix. I distract myself with busyness, with my social life. All of that trying to escape that place of actually, how do I come into the center of who I am?
Yeah.
And so to overcome our unpeace, our sense of dislocation, belongingness is a really core part of that. And that's why, for me, faith is so paramount to understanding how to find real peace. When I think about peace, I think about a big bar of steel. I don't think about a cottage. I think about something that's like dense and solid and strong. So
like
I think
an anchor.
Exactly. If the anchor's in the sand and the boat is bobbling around, peace isn't getting rid of the waves. It's not stopping the storm. It's having that sense of attachment that will hold you fast no matter what happens to you on the surface.
So you can get to peace not by eliminating all sources of worry and anxiety. They can coexist.
They can coexist, but they do inform one another. There are lots of ideologies and cultures and even religions which give you the sense that if I can just connect with myself, then I'll find inner peace. The trouble is, actually, finding more of me doesn't necessarily resolve my problems.
I need less of me. That
Right.
is, if I leave me to be me, I end up with the drug addiction.
Sure.
So actually, like, yeah,
If you go back to the boat idea,
Yeah.
like what we're basically saying is a boat with an anchor on the boat is safe in the storm. Not really, because actually if the anchor's not connected to the seafloor,
Yeah.
the boat's just drifting around in the tide. The sort of peace I want is being rooted in something that's bigger than myself.
that you can feel and take with you in
Absolutely.
any environment. Yeah.
Nothing has transformed my life so much as being anchored into a person rather than an idea.
Yeah. Yeah.
And for me, that person is the person of Jesus
It's
Christ.
Jesus. Yeah.
I've seen how peace transcends mere tranquility. It's about holistic well-being and a restored relationship with God, offering a foundation for true peace in our lives. I'm going to talk to John Rackley because I want to understand the context around this Bible story and its relevance to us now.
So with this one, with Thomas and the question of Jesus appearing again, what's the story up until that point?
You've got to see that Jesus had been trouble, and that was why he was crucified. And as far as the disciples were concerned, when they saw him dying on the cross, it was over. And the story is about the disciples meeting, frightened, insecure, not sure what was going to happen next. Then, out of the blue, as it were, comes Jesus. And that is the greatest gift that God has ever given the world, the resurrection of Jesus.
And with that gift, because we're talking about this in the context of peace, right? What's the gift?
Well, when Jesus comes into the room, he uses a word that they would have heard him use many times because it was the way in which people would greet each other. Shalom, peace. Peace be with you. But of course, in the mouth of Jesus, the risen Christ, the risen man, to say to the disciples, frightened, insecure, fragile, peace be with you, it was meaning a lot more. And I think this is where Thomas comes in. You see, he, as it were, he can't actually join the other disciples because in his mind, he needs an encounter with the risen Jesus.
Okay.
So he says, unless I have that encounter,
Yeah.
unless I meet Jesus for myself and he shows me the scars, I can't start this experience which you all are talking about. And I would call him honest Thomas. Honest Thomas, rather than doubting Thomas. And Jesus turns up and says, you've got these questions. Well, here I am. What do you want to do about them?
Yeah.
And whatever transformation went on within Thomas, Thomas' response is, you're God. You're Lord. You're everything that I need.
So how do we experience what they experienced in that room?
Well, actually, Jesus talked about us in the story. Because after Thomas has responded to him and he's fallen down and said, you are my Lord, you are my God, Jesus says something like, well, that's good for you. You're in a good place. But actually, there's an awful lot of people who will not have your experience. Because that has been the experience of people. They haven't met Jesus face to face, but they have had an experience of Jesus in their life. And how does Jesus meet us now? We have to be honest about ourselves. We have to be honest about the questions that we have. The whole story of Jesus in his lifetime is basically saying to people, follow me. Just go with me. Just start.
Okay.
You don't have to have a complete package of belief ready before I'll accept you or you start your own journey with me. Just start following me. And times may not always seem to be like this exciting moment in the upper room. But do not worry, do not be troubled. I am with you always.
In my ongoing quest for peace, I've journeyed through moments of uncertainty and a transition from seeking solace in substances to a deeper pursuit of lasting tranquility. I'm meeting with a dear friend, Joe, to revisit my story and explore the true essence of peace.
With anxiety, with uncertainty, without feeling I understood my identity or my purpose, without community around me, particularly, I turned to drugs and alcohol. Ironically, they did bring peace, but not the sort of peace we're talking about. They brought a very short-term access to a kind of numbing that felt as close to peace as I was familiar with. When I got sober, I started going to church, and I scraped myself across the floor, one tiny millimeter at a time. And eventually, after about a year, turned around and realized I'd actually traveled some distance.
You know that scripture that I think it's a really mysterious one, but I love it, is deep calls to deep. Somewhere deep inside you, God was calling you.
Yeah.
You're almost blissfully unaware of it.
Oh, yeah.
But it's drawing you, and then you suddenly realize, oh yeah, I'm here, I'm home now, and
Yeah.
I've got this peace.
I think what makes me feel optimistic about moving towards greater peace is that I have known absolutely none. And now I'm in a place where I have some.
You know, we refer to God as that rock of peace, don't we? So when we should be standing on that rock. And so there is that rock of peace that's always there. So you always know if everything goes, everything goes wrong, we lose everything, we're still going to be standing on that rock. And I think that confidence does bring you into a place of peace.
I don't get a sense of peace from just going along with what people say. I need to test it. I need the Bible, I need to pray, I need to check in with more people who I respect. And then even then, I just need time to come to terms with it, particularly if it involves a lifestyle change or a decision for me.
We should wake up every day and say, it is enough that you are with me, Jesus. Oof. And that's never going to go away. Jesus is never going to leave you. So if I just walk through life with you, then, there are going to be good days and bad days and things are going to come at me, but I'll be okay as long as you're with me.
Yeah. I feel quite peaceful now. Do you feel peaceful?
Yeah,
I think
I do.
it's because you're in a church. It's nice and quiet, just having a chat about Jesus and peace,
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you so much for
Pleasure.
chatting with me.
Pleasure.
Aww.
In the midst of the stress and anxiety that can sometimes surround us, I found myself pondering the practical implications of peace in our day-to-day lives. How does this manifest in our routines? And what steps can we take to rediscover it when it seems elusive? Today, I'm sitting down with Nkiru, a GP who will share her insights, drawing from her personal journey with mental health challenges.
What I love about you, Nkiru, is that you're a GP. You've really got your head in the game when it comes to mental health things, but also you've got an incredible lived experience of depression and anxiety, right?
Yes, I did struggle with mental health challenges. I just didn't really accept myself. I had poor self-esteem. Going up to my university days, medical school, I had some relational challenges that sort of just triggered all these negative habits I had already. And so that and so many other things. And I found that I just went down that slippery slope of becoming depressed, necessitating my being hospitalized because I was now having, delusions and hallucinations, which would classify it as being severe.
And what kind of treatment were you offered in hospital?
I was given medications like antipsychotics, antidepressants. They were just trying to get me sort of stable enough to begin to function again.
Yeah.
But throughout all this time, because I was already a Christian growing up, I'd already heard so much about Jesus.
Yeah.
In this time of sort of this seeming darkness, I found that was the only source of hope that I could really anchor in on. that could give me any sort of comfort or expectation of coming out of what I was going through. So while in the hospital, I'm reading the scriptures and I sort of like, it's like I'm hearing Jesus himself speaking to my heart and saying to me that I have loved you with an everlasting love. And I thought, wait a minute, if you love me with an everlasting love, then you still love me even now because it doesn't stop. Then I knew it couldn't be over for me. And it's like, he just said to me, Nkiru, I have not given you a spirit of fear, but I have given you a spirit of power, of love, and of a sound mind. And I was like, wow. He's saying to me that I have a sound mind. And I just knew all of a sudden that I was not a broken person trying to be fixed, but that I was already whole. I was already sound. And all I needed to do was just walk with him to just figure out all the negative thoughts and negative thinking patterns I had sort of built up over the years. And he brought me to a place of peace, a place of peace with himself, because he made me come to understand who I was in him. He made me come to understand that I was accepted and I was loved. And so, I mean, when Jesus does that with you, you become full of peace, a peace that he gave me, a peace that I had for myself, and a peace that I could take to my world.
The peace Jesus offers us, deeply rooted in his resurrection, goes beyond mere calm. It emerges not from perfection or having all the answers, but from a profound assurance that amidst our imperfections and insecurities, we are deeply loved and sustained. It offers a strength and conviction that allows us to face life's challenges with confidence. Anchored in the love and victory of the risen Jesus, we can navigate any storm with unwavering peace.